La reconnaissance est ouverte, chers amis. Reconnaissance ouverte pour les cavaliers. The arena is open for walking the course. Arena open for walking the course. Bonjour, bonjour à toutes et bienvenue à toutes celles et tous ceux qui nous rejoignent maintenant ce dimanche après-midi à l'occasion de cette confrontation finale, double confrontation finale d'ailleurs, puisque les cavaliers vont tenter de s'illustrer dans le classement individuel parrainé par le conseil départemental de l'Orne, mais pas que, puisque ce CICO 3 étoiles est la seule et unique étape de la Coupe des Nations et qui regroupe pas moins de 8 équipes nationales cet après-midi, dont l'équipe de France. Voilà le double enjeu que vous aurez le plaisir de vivre tous ensemble d'ici une petite quinzaine de minutes maintenant. On vous invite à venir nous rejoindre. Et pour vous faire patienter jusque-là, on va vous faire découvrir ce tracé dans quelques instants. Mais tout d'abord, j'ai à mes côtés, alors nous nous situons à côté du vertical numéro 1, le vertical de la région Normandie. À mes côtés, c'est Quentin Pernet, c'est le scénariste, c'est celui qui a pensé ces batailles finales, notamment pour le saut d'obstacle, c'est ce qu'on appelle dans notre jargon le chef de piste. C'est lui qui a pensé, construit, dessiné tous les parcours de saut d'obstacle que vous avez eu l'occasion de vivre depuis ce matin, dont celui qui sera support de cette Coupe des Nations. Bonjour Quentin, merci de vous prêter au jeu justement de ces interviews. Et alors, vous êtes chef de piste de ce grand complet depuis quelques années maintenant, et on a toujours plaisir justement à voir la subtilité de vos tracés qui révèlent les meilleurs couples chaque année. Cet après-midi, sachant que c'est une étape de Coupe des Nations, qu'est-ce que vous avez un parcours de télétrack habituel, c'est que là, les chevaux ont couru un cross la veille. Donc l'idée, c'est de vérifier qu'ils sont encore prêts, mais sans les mettre dans des situations trop difficiles. Voilà, c'est un peu l'équilibre qu'on va trouver à aller chercher, sachant qu'on est au niveau 3 et on n'est pas au niveau 4, donc on n'est pas encore au niveau maximum sur les épreuves de concours complet. Voilà, donc ça va être un parcours qui va changer les rythmes, avec un groupe de verticaux qui en milieu de parcours qui est un petit peu plus difficile, un peu plus délicat, et des obstacles assez isolés sinon, des contrats faciles. On va demander aux cavaliers d'être précis dans les distances et dans les coups. Merci beaucoup. Alors pour décrire justement ce parcours, vous nous avez dit le double verticaux qui tient en 8 avec un contrat de foulée juste derrière l'observe de vos coups qui sera peut-être un petit peu plus délicat. Combien d'obstacles compose ce parcours? 12 obstacles, 2 combinaisons, un flip, relativement facile, isolé, en ligne et un double plus délicat en famille. Alors, on rappelle à chacun et chacune que pour ces épreuves de saut d'obstacle, la moindre barre tombée au sommet coûte 4 points. On sait que dans le classement, la France est en tête. L'année dernière, c'était la France qui remportait justement cette Coupe des Nations ici pour la seule et unique étape en France. L'Allemagne est donc deuxième et les Pays-Bas sont donc troisième. Bon, on va vous laisser peaufiner quelques instants une nouvelle fois les derniers détails de ce parcours. Une dernière question, quelle est la longueur totale? 480 mètres. Donc 480 mètres, normalement une distance un petit peu facile par rapport aux 3 km 600 qu'ils ont eu sur le cross d'hier. Merci beaucoup Quentin Pernet. Quelques applaudissements s'il vous plaît pour l'auteur du scénario que vous aurez l'occasion de vivre dans 12 minutes maintenant. On va essayer justement d'avoir quelques impressions et notamment, tenez, à mes côtés, j'ai Maxime Livio qui est là, c'est lui qui est en tête justement du challenge du classement individuel avec Michelor. Il fait aussi partie de l'équipe de France ici même sur cette étape des Coupes des Nations. Bonjour Maxime, merci une nouvelle fois de vous prêter au jeu des interviews. Alors, question très simple, quelles sont vos impressions sur cette ultime bataille?
Je pense que le parcours est bien assez difficile. Ça paraît pas très gros, mais par contre, il y a beaucoup d'angles particuliers dans cette carrière. Beaucoup de contrats et de choix de foulée à faire. Du 1 au 2, il y a déjà un angle un peu particulier. Le 2, on le saute en direction du paddock. Donc ça incite les chevaux à aller un petit peu en avant, ce qui n'est pas le but aujourd'hui. Il faut qu'on fait du saut en hauteur aujourd'hui. Ensuite, il y a la ligne 3-4 avec le mur. On a vu qu'il a fait quelques petites fautes. Donc c'est important de bien le soigner comme un vertical. Et après, on attaque le gros du parcours avec un trick dans la diagonale. Entrée auxerre, on va être obligé de monter un petit peu en avant l'auxerre et puis derrière, les 2 foulées sont un petit peu courtes pour l'élément du milieu qui devrait faire quelques fautes. Donc c'est vraiment au cavalier de rééquilibrer les chevaux après l'observe. Et ensuite, il y a la ligne devant le public où il y a vraiment deux choix de contrat bien décidés. Il faut faire, je pense, moi, avec mes chevaux, de faire 7 et 6 poulées. Je pense que ça va être assez facile à faire en gardant du galop, mais le problème, c'est que c'est pour rentrer dans un double verticaux. Un double verticaux, c'est vraiment du saut en hauteur. On demande aux chevaux de verticaliser leur saut et surtout pas d'aller en avant. Donc plus on met de galop, plus les chevaux ont envie d'aller en avant. Donc c'est très malin de la part du chef de piste d'avoir mis ce contrat un petit peu en avançant pour aller sauter un double dans de l'équilibre. Donc ça va être la deuxième grosse partie du parcours. Et ensuite on a un tout petit peu d'air, pas beaucoup, mais pour laisser respirer les chevaux avant les 2 dernières lignes. On a une grosse barre de spa, donc ça c'est un saut qui nous emmène très en avant pour ensuite aller sauter un vertical qui nécessite beaucoup d'équilibre. Donc encore une fois, il va jouer sur les profils pour essayer de nous mettre dans la difficulté, à nous de monter nos chevaux pour les mettre dans les meilleures conditions. Et enfin la dernière ligne qui est un petit peu toute seule, un petit peu isolée. Après tous ces efforts-là, il va falloir la barre sur le
And a very good afternoon. Welcome to Aaron de Pam for the conclusion of the CIC 3-star FEI Eventing Nations Cup competition. And it's a grey, slightly muggy afternoon here in this delightful part of Normandy. Wherever you are watching us, a very good afternoon. Welcome to France and Normandy and this famous venue, which was, of course, the host for the World Equestrian Games back in 2014. The final course walk has been done by the riders and we're all set fair. It's going to be a long competition, but of course the main focus will be the FEI Eventing Nations Cup. Well, there's been some changes since the conclusion of the dressage, and sadly for Great Britain, who were looking to try and prevent France winning and a third Nations Cup series event this year out of 3, well, 2 of their combinations have had to pull out for various little niggling problems following the cross-country. Will Furlong and Tom Jackson are no longer competing, so Britain unfortunately now down to 2 and out of the reckoning with David Dole and Fiona Cashel, now the 2 for Britain. But at the top of the tree, of course, France leading the way. They were brilliant in the cross-country yesterday with a score that has left them on 89.1. And they're ahead of Germany on 100.9. Germany have won a round this year, one in Britain at Houghton Hall. Netherlands in third on 120.7. Spain in fourth. Sweden fifth. Italy sixth. Switzerland seventh. And as I mentioned, Great Britain now propping up the table. And as far as the individual competition is concerned, we've got some very intriguing combinations coming in. And with the World Equestrian Games in mind, certainly there will be some last-minute hopes as the rain starts to come down here that they can put in a good last-minute performance to impress the various countries' selectors. Well, we're about to get underway here with our first rider, and it is Alberto Guini, who is competing here as an individual with this horse, and that's Mischievous, but he will be riding Mollington in the later on. This is Mischievous that he's riding, and as he pops the first of the fences, 12 fences, 15 efforts, and overall they have to get into 83 seconds as we see the way this course, twisting course, coming to 4, which might catch him out. It's a little narrow, and it has indeed caught Alberto out. First up, it now turns around to the combination, and coming to it now, and through the first part, and then the second, and through the third part. Now coming down the side, that's fence 6, heading to 7, bit of a spread. Now to the double, and pops that well enough. Now round to 9, coming across the arena. The Liverpool, now this can 10, and pops that, and moves round to the final part of the course, and coming to it, and knocks that down. So it looks like he's got 8 faults, no time to be added. 83, in fact it's 3 fences down. So for Alberto Guini, adding to his cross-country score of 52.1. He was in 82nd with this horse of the 93 going forward, and we'll confirm his score in a few moments, but well inside the time. Next up is David Dole. He's got a busy afternoon. And he is riding Carne Ho Rua. Scored 47.4. Good dressage just outside the time, 6.4. and a total of 53.8, and again he's currently lying in 85th space. So fences coming down, unfortunately for David Dole. So jumping the final part. So just will confirm David Dole's time completed score in a couple of moments' time, but not a clear run. And this is the first of the Nations Cup competitors, who Roxane Gonfard for Switzerland, and she is riding Opie de Saint-Lô. 72 is her score. And carrying on our way now, coming to the double at 8, knocks that first part down. Coming now towards the end of her round, the first of the 3 Swiss riders. Beat Sachs had a fall yesterday, the veteran Swiss rider, so just a 3-rider team now left, and having fences down along the way. So looks like she's had 4 fences down, and inside the time. Confirmed David Dole's first horse had 3 fences down and is finishing on a score of 68.8. This is Joyce van der Klulen competing for the Netherlands as an individual here, and currently she was in 92nd spot on a score of 70.9, had a total of 33.2 penalty points in the cross country yesterday. Going now to 7, the Devaku fence, now to the double at 8, and rattles down the final part of that double. Sweeping round now to the two across the arena, 9 and 10. Just the one fence down at this stage for her. And now coming to the final fence. And again, well inside the time, and it's the one fence down. Just let you know, on Roxane Gonfard, the first of the Swiss riders, well, she had 4 fences down, as I mentioned, and she's finished on a score of 88. Next up, we have from France, of course, many of the field from France. Zoe Ivars on Catapouf is this chestnut, 14-year-old chestnut, will be coming into the arena on a score of 66.6. And they're on their way. Heading to 2. She's up against the edge of the arena. Now into the combination. Keeping it clear so far. Round now to the 9th, pops that. 2 more to go. And just the one fence down. And that for Zoe Ivars. And for Joyce van der Keulen confirming her score of 74.9, her final score. And there's one fence down, but no time faults. So this is Quentin Faucheur next to go, just following that first clear round of Zoe Evers. So well done to her on Gatapouf, but it's Quentin Faucheur in the arena. And he's riding Tempo de Kiegan, and a refusal there at 4. A little narrow upright. See if we can make it better. Coming back towards where there's a spectators enclosure. Coming down the line for the combination. Takes that well enough. Getting the rhythm back again. To the double at 8. Rattles that, but gets away with it. Now heading to the final fence. And a good recovery after that early refusal at fence 4. So Quentin Faucheur. So confirmed Zoe Evers with that clear round, 70.4. First clear round, but Quentin Faucheur having that refusal and the 4 faults. So we'll wait for his score to confirm. So Nicolas Touzin next into the arena with Eberly, 65.5. And see how he gets on with the first of his horses. That's 2 coming, heading back to, and then a loop round to largest fence at 3, now to the 4, the one that caught out his compatriot. Has caught him out just flicking a brick down. Now to the combination. And second fence down there, got a little close to 8. Now to the final fence. And jumps that, but along the way has had 2 parts down. And so he will finish on a score with of 73.5. Previously, Quentin Faucheur with 4 faults and finishing with some time penalties as well. So finishing in on 79.6. Now Simon Grieve is the next rider in on the Rutman with a score of 60.6. 22.8 yesterday in the cross country, 37.8 the dressage score. No problems at the fence that's caught the last 2 out. Taking the shorter route through into the combination. Middle part was given a decent rattle, but for Simon, he stays clear. So just 4 more to go. Tidy round of jumping so far from Simon with the Rutman, this 9-year-old. Getting close to the time, I think just outside the time, so has picked up some time faults, but still a pretty decent round of jumping. We'll confirm his score in a moment, but from a learning point of view, we'll be pretty pleased with that. Now to the second of the riders taking part in the Nations Cup, the FEI Eventing Nations Cup here. That is Malin Josephson. She's on a score of 59.1. And yesterday in the cross-country phase picked up 27.6 penalty points and was 31.5 after the dressage. Well, let's see how she gets on here. She's off and running already in her round, and coming to fence 3, down to just the 3 as Sandra Gustafsson has failed to complete yesterday. So it's Marlin, Christopher Forsberg and Louis Svensson-Jade who's going along very nicely, currently lying in 5th spot. But Sweden lying in 5th spot in the team standings coming into this final phase. And she remains, she's got the one fence down. Oh, a refusal there. Just didn't like it, just got distracted. Almost needed a bit more coaxing into it. And Marlin now trying to do exactly that. Rather lunged at it. Wasn't entirely comfortable jumping that fence. Was Marlin Josephson's horse Alan 5. 2 more to go. Coming to it. So, and time faults to be added. So, not perfect for her, not what she was looking for and Sweden were looking for, but there's a buoyancy about the current state of Swedish eventing with some talented young riders and combinations. So confirmed Simon Grieve picked up 3 time faults, and so he finishes on 63.6. That's his score. And now we come to Samantha Birch, one of the Australians competing here. And she is riding Kinkuli Kaylee. Now to 6. Staying clear. Lots of Australian riders here, many probably trying to see if they can nudge the selectors. Christopher Burton clearly will be going. Now just 2 more fences to go. And comes to that penultimate fence. Time's going to be fine. And it's going to be a clear round. And very pleasing round of jumping for Samantha Birch there, competing here as an individual. Another clear round and inside the time, and so she'll stay on her score of 57.1 with Kinkuli Kaylee. And this 8-year-old. So pleasing performance for Samantha Birch, the Australian. Now we go to the second of the Swiss riders competing in the Nations Cup, Caroline Gerber on Trésor de Chignan is next into the arena, and she's on her way already. First Swiss rider Roxane Gonfalves is on a score of 88.0. And here she is on board this 9-year-old, rather 11-year-old. So coming now to the double at 8 is Caroline Gerber. And she's remains clear as the rain returns. Gives 9 plenty of air. Two more to go. Time's not an issue. Final fence. Can she go clear? Yes, she can. So, clear rounds coming, and Caroline Gerber will stay on her score of 53.7. The final Swiss combination to go will be Tiziana Realini. Had a good day on the cross country yesterday. Clear inside the time with Toubleau d'Aurière, and she'll be going much later on. But first two of the Swiss combinations have gone through. And just confirm Samantha Birch's score previously. 58.1 was her score and is her final score, having gone clear, but has actually picked up one time fault. Just confirming that 58.1 she will end on. So just the one time fault. No time faults for Caroline Gerber for Switzerland, so she's on 53.7. Now to Tim Lips, competing for Holland, the first of their riders to go in the FEI Eventing Nations Cup. Side of fence down. Competing on Lacoste. The other members of the Dutch team are Sanne de Jong, Ralph Kuddermans and Elaine Penn, who is the best placed of their quartet. Tim Lips on a score of 52.6. Now to the final fence. And two fences down for Tim Lips. And wait on his final score for the first of the Dutch riders. 52.6. Looks as if it'll be 60.6 his final score, but we'll wait for confirmation on that. As another of the Nation Cup riders, this time competing for Italy. Marco Biasia is the next rider, and riding Trésor de la Logue. And this is an 11-year-old. 14.4 in yesterday's time faults in the cross country. Rain continuing to fall. We had some heavy rain on Thursday for the first day of dressage. Had some more rain on Friday night. But it's welcome rain too here. It's been, like in so many places in Europe, it's been pretty dry. And at the moment, Marco Biasia is currently clear. The 43-year-old Italian. a sweep round to 11 and 12 for the final part. There's one fence down and pops the last, so 4 faults to add to his score. But Tim Lipp's score, 60.6, as I mentioned, is his final score. It was the discard score over the first 2 days for the Dutch. But Michael Biazia, just the one fence down, expecting to finish on a score of 55.8. Now back to the individuals for a little while. Benjamin Massey for France on VIF Argent de Boussac on a score of competing out of position here because he's currently lying in 56th. He's got other horses to come along, currently with a score of 39.0. The lead is 26.4. That is Maxime Livio. So any clear rounds, an early clear round for Benjamin will put him right up the leaderboard. Very compacted leaderboard it is. But he's had the final part of the combination done. Oh, it's nearly checked in that. Nearly the same effect as what happened to Marlene Josefsson, who did refuse at that fence 10. And unfortunately for Benjamin Massey, he's had that final fence down as well, rattling the top pole, and he has had 2 fences down. So his score will go up to 47 inside the time. Marco Biazia has, as I mentioned, finished on a score of 55.8. Just 3 riders for Italy at the start of the week. Ludovico Manzoli is leading the way for the Italians on 40.7, and Alberto Giugni on Mollington. We saw him go earlier with his individual entrant, Mischievous, on 45.4. But now on to Cyril Lefebvre with a score of 51.2. And after a cross country that saw her pick up 11.2, and she's had fence 4 down. That particular bit of that fence has come down 3 times, I think, now. And she's had the first part of the combination down as well. Just didn't get that height on that approach into it. Here's the double at 8. Ooh, stood off that, but no problem. Through 10. Time's not of any concern, and completes, well, just close enough, 82.19, finishing with at that time, but 8 faults for Cyril Lefebvre with Crac de Feuillade, and so that score will move up now to 59.2, but we'll again confirm that, as I can confirm Benjamin Massey's score is now 47 with those 8 faults added to his score. Next up, Benjamin Uri on 51.0. Not a bad round across country yesterday. 9.2 was just the time penalties that he picked up after opening up with a dressage score of 41.8 on his horse Llanradra Carreg Fluid, I think. is how you pronounce it. Clearly Welsh. Whoa, made a complete haul. It's got the stride all wrong in that and has obliterated that fence. Didn't like it at all. Didn't know what was going on there. Now had the first part of the combination, and this is all gone horribly wrong. And us refusing at the middle part of the combination, completely discombobulated after smashing down fence 4. And now having a refusal at the middle part of the combination for Benjamin Uri. And not good, as I say, just getting everything wrong going into fence 4. There's narrow fence, which is catching 1 or 2 out. Sarah Bullimore, who's competing, he did suggest that that might be a fence that could yield a few problems. So let's see what happens now as he continues his round. They've readjusted. Here we go again. See if the horse has kept the partnership intact. He's standing off that. He's got through it this time, but he's up to 16 faults. And they're lucky to stay on at that middle part of the combination, and 7's down as well. He entered the double. This has all unravelled a little bit. That's going to be costly for Benjamin Uri. But 11's down as well, and here comes 12, and that remains upright, but plenty of time faults as well, so not quite what he was hoping for, and so he has finished his round. Just Cyril Lefebvre with 8 points. 59.2 is her final score. So, next up will be Constantine van Rukkervos on Beat It, representing Belgium. .50.4 is his score. Now he's on his way. 12.8 yesterday after a 37.6 opening salvo in the dressage with this 12-year-old. After fence 4, no problems for Constantine as he swings round to the combination. All parts negotiated safely enough. Staying clear. Again, completely got it wrong going into 10. Never took off there. Got the stride all wrong. Just took the fence out. Just carried on. So 2 fences down. Times all right, 81.93 for Constantine van Rukkervos, and his horse Beat It, starting on 50.4, but that score now significantly changing as a result of those errors. Now, another of the French riders, Raphael Hollade, competing as an individual, and on 50.2. 9.2 yesterday. Thanks de Saline is the horse that he is riding, an 11-year-old. which he co-owns. Let's see how he can get on. Benjamin Horley, we saw just a few minutes, he had 28, so that's put him now bottom of the pile with 89. And Constantine van Rijkenvossel is on 58.4 following his round of 2 fences down as we continue our way with Raphael. And there's a fence down in the combination. Round the corner now to 9. This is a fence that's been a little bit tricky. Just the one fence down that combination. And now to the final fence, and has come home, but is just outside the time. So I think there's one time fault to be added to Raphael's score, and finishing in 83.62. The optimum time, or time allowed rather, is 83. But Constantine van Rijkenvossel mentioned his on 58.4. We'll wait for Raphael Hollard's score as we now move to another of the team riders, Christopher Forsberg, the tall Swedish rider, on 48.5 on his horse Hippos Sapporo, riding Hippos Sapporo, a 10-year-old, and 30.3 was his dressage score, already having gone for Sweden, now reduced to a 3-rider team following that failed completion from Sandra Gustafsson. Marlon Josefsson has already gone. Can he remain clear? Coming now down 2-4. Heading now round to 6. Oh, disappointing. Just had that rattle, that polar coming out of the double. And now, last part. So just the one fence down, just 2 fences down actually, the 11 came down as well. So adding to his score, time all right, but 8 being added to Christopher Forsberg. So finish on 56.5. Wait for official confirmation. Raphael Hollard mentioned did get one time fault along with that one fence down, so he's on 55.2. So Christopher Forsberg, the second of the Swedish riders. Will be some time before we see the last rider because she's in 5th in the individual. Obviously going reverse order. Louise Svensson-Jada on Waikiki 207. So really good performance from her so far on a very decent horse, promising horse. As on we go now. And this is with Cedric Liard on Ulan de Lepine. 10-year-old on the score out of order on 36.6, currently lying in 44th, and he's clear through the combination. gave Part A a good thwack, but the pole stays intact. Vastly experienced. So a clear round for Cedric Liard, remains on his score of 36.6, no time issues either, so in 44th, that's a good performance, another clear round. Haven't seen too many and amongst these early starters, but I suppose that's only to be expected, but all the same for Cedric Liard in 44th, has other horses to come, and that's why he's gone here. Now, Niels Treb will be the next. Christopher Forsberg, 56.5 is his final score. And looking at what it's doing at the bottom with two Swedish riders, the Swiss riders have gone up to 177.1. Now, with those mistakes as we watch Niels Trebe from Germany and Sweden, with two riders gone, have gone up to 161. So 6th and 7th, they are standing. Still clear. Well, happy days for Niels Treb on Montina, the 10-year-old will stay on the score of 46.9. Clear round for Niels Treb. Cedric Liard, confirmation that he is still on 36.6. No penalties added, and that keeps him currently in 44th spot. But every chance that he might go up one or two places. David Doyle already been in action with Kani Ho Rua, and now he is here on Dungeon Dom Perignon, an 8-year-old. He is competing for Great Britain and the Nations Cup, but obviously their chances have gone with those two withdrawals, but that horse will be going later. Isafi, he's having a good year, is David, making the 25-year-old British rider. Jumping 4, now round to the combination. First part down. Let's see, I wonder if we can keep the damage to a minimum with that one fence down. Well, he's got some time faults to add, so that's disappointing, but he was being cautious. So a fence down and some time faults. But for Niels Trebe, that is a clear run. We mentioned prior to David Dole's round, and he's on 46.9. Well, we head now to the first of the rather the second of the Dutch riders in the Nations Cup, and it is Sanne de Jong on Enjoy. 46.3 is her score. The Dutch currently lying in third with a score of 120.7, so looking to try and go clear here. Can she? Tim Lips has already gone. He had 2 fences down. And yesterday picked up 10.8 time faults, 35.5 in the dressage, hence the reason why they're on 46.3, lying in 73rd. .23-year-old, 9-year-old Enjoy. Good run so far. Coming to the final fence. And look at the reaction from Sanne de Jong. She's happy, clear run. What a strong way to end for the young Dutch rider, giving her horse Enjoy a well-deserved pat, and she clearly enjoyed that. So good performance from Sanne de Jong. Will remain on her score of 46.3 and increases the outside chance of maybe moving up a place in the classifications. The Nations Cup standings at the moment have GB on top, but that's all going to change with what's likely to happen here with France dominating, because they are 45 points. And, well, if France win, then they will go to the top of the standings. But now we're watching Tom Christ on Cooley's Luxury. Also might be having Burley on the agenda in a few weeks' time. 2.8 yesterday, 39.3 in the is the total, 36.5 in the dressage. Doing all right so far, staying clear. Time is going to be a little close, I think. Is it 81? Is he going to be inside the time? No, he's not. He's outside the time. So he's going to pick up some time faults, but still an encouraging run if he is going to be going to Burley in a few weeks' time. Next up, we have a Spanish rider, and it is Manuel Senra Chauva, who's on his way already. 46.2 his score. The Spanish situation as far as the team is concerned, he is the highest placed, currently in 74th, 46.2, the discard score. The other three riders are Gonzalo Blasco Botta, Esteban Benitez Vala, and Maria Pinedo Sendagorta. So, can he, with Spain lying in fourth spot on 122.3, not far behind the Dutch, who are on 120.7, obviously remaining on that score now. Andrew Hoy's been working with the Spaniards here this week. One fence down, two fences down. Just lost it over those final stages of the course. So there will be points to be added, and slightly disappointing, but he was the highest placed, so it looks as if he's picked up 8, but we will confirm that after a few moments' time. Next up is British rider Nicholas Lucy on Proud Courage. Cooley's Luxury did pick up 3 time faults, finishing on 42.3, as mentioned. Nicholas Lucy. Proud Courage, this 13-year-old horse, owned by the rider. 8.8 yesterday in the cross country, 36.7. I think another one who might be heading to Burley, if my facts are right, coming to 4. No problems there. All good so far for Nicholas Lucy. 2 to go. Stands off 11, now heading to 12, remaining clear. Jumping the final fence, and looks as if it's all right time-wise. Indeed it is. So Nicholas Lucy goes clear and stays on 45.5. Final score for Manuel Senra-Silva, 54.2 for the Spaniards. 4th rider. Now, for Italy, their 2nd rider of 3 to go, and it's the 45-year-old Alberto Guigny on Mollington. 45.4 is his score. Italy lying in 5th spot at present on a total of 141.9. Really looking to maybe maintain this position. But the wall's been given a thwack, and it comes a tumbling. That little narrow. And the middle part of the combination is also sent tumbling. Three fences down so far, and 4 fences down now, with the final pole on the final fence also rattled by Mollington. So that will have an impact on the Italian score, but Nicholas Lucy will stay on his score of 45.5, competing as an individual, but Albert Guigny, with those mistakes, as we'll see his final total move to 57.4. Now, on now to Will Furlong on Cooley Zest. Sadly for Will, Colleen P2 had to be taken out, wasn't presented at the trot up this morning. So very frustrating for Will, one of the young riders representing Britain this week. So Zest staying clear. The fence has come down. Just checking into the double. Eight now it is. So 8 faults then for Will Furlong, inside the time, just 9/10 of a second inside the 83 seconds. But Alberto Guidi for Italy and Mollington finishing with 4 fences down, 16 points added, 61.4. Italy now moved to 157.9, and that's just about 3.1 ahead of Sweden, who've got just the one more rider to go, as have Italy, Ludovica Manzoli. So a bit of a battle developing for 5th and 6th spots. Sweden lying 2nd in the overall standings, so a little mini battle going on there as we watch another of the Spanish riders competing here, and this is Maria Pineda Sendegorta going for Spain. The 32-year-old competed as an individual last year. She's riding Kariem van Kullen and is on a score of 45, having picked up 5.2 time faults yesterday, opening up with 39.8 in the dressage. Staying clear at the moment. Can she stay that way? So far looks all right. Now that double. Easy enough through there. Now the sweeping turn to this 9, which isn't really catching many out. It's the next one that is. Here's 10, but it's not catching her out. To 11 and finally 12. All good. And another beaming competitor here as they complete with a clear round in the jumping. It is from Spain, Maria Pinedo Sendegorta, who has completed here on her 15-year-old, and well pleased she is too with that performance. So she'll stay on her score of 45.0 and keep Spain in 4th spot, and putting a little bit of pressure on the Netherlands, who are only, well, just over 2 points, well, less than 2 points ahead of the Netherlands. So there's a little battle for 3rd and 4th ensuing here. Big gap between the French and the Germans, but at the moment we haven't seen any of their combinations in action, showing you how dominant they've been so far. On now to Carlos Diaz Fernandez from Spain as an individual. 43.7 is his score. And just to reiterate, Maria Pineda Sendegorta did finish on 45.0. That now is official. But that middle part of the combination is proving tricky if you haven't quite got it right coming into it. Just the one fence down. That was the middle part of 5. Time might be a little close. Could be some time. There will be some time penalties to be added. Looks like 86.02 is his time. So, as well as some fences down, 2 fences down. So that will see his position change as far as the individual standings are concerned. As we now come to another of the individuals who's been going along very well, again competing out of position. Clara Loiseau is next up, just 9 behind the leader in 34th. And so we saw earlier Cedric Liard put in a clear round. So he's leading of the completed combinations at the moment on 36.6. But Clara has a chance to go in front of him as she can remain clear, and she's on her way already. And she's riding Won't Wait, 14-year-old. Takes a short route round to the combination. They're all doing that. Stands off the first part, but is cleanly through 5. Heading to the Devaku fence. Now to the double. And this is looking good at the moment for Clara. Yesterday, just 1.2 points time faults yesterday in the cross country. Began with 34.2. Can she stay clear now? She's had that down. So no, but just the one fence down. That will be slightly galling. And it is 4 faults to add. So that will see her position slip behind Cedric Liard. She'll be on 39.4. Carlos Diaz Hernandez, and with that last round, with 8 jumping penalty points for 1 fence down and 4 time faults, 51.7. Well, Robert Palm from Australia is next up. Coco Story is his mount, and he is on 43.4, 5.6 yesterday. Saw Samantha Birch go clear earlier for Australia, but they're not competing as a team here. But although, again, another one rattles the middle part down of that treble. Plenty of air over 9, 10, pops it neatly. Now round to 11. This fence is causing a few problems. The latter part of the round, and another one has had it down. So 2 fences down, 8 points to be added inside the time by just over 4/10 of a second. So points to be added, and Clara Loiseau, we can confirm 39.4, seeing her slip down now, and Robert Palm will also slip down as well following those mistakes. Now next up, another of the Spanish riders into the arena, rider number 3 for Spain. It is Esteban Benitez Val on 41.8, just 4.4 yesterday. For the 27-year-old riding Milana, and they have been competing in Nations Cup before, was 28th in the Euros last year, was the young Spanish rider, and unfortunately has given the opening fence a clunk, and down it comes. And Spain currently trying to keep their position in 4th. Well, I think that's probably secured, but they wouldn't have minded another clear round. And unfortunately, the points are being added to here as fence 4 is flicked down. Now to 5. This could be a tough one, and it is looking increasingly tough as the initial fence in the combination is hit. And another one down. This is proving costly for the Spanish. Not what they were looking for. One more rider to go is for Spain is Gonzalo Blasco Bota on 35.5. But the points being added to here, and coming round, plenty of fences being hit now, and all going a little bit wrong there. Time's fine, but too many fences down for Esteban Benitez Val. We'll wait and see what impact that does have on the classification, but disappointing end for the young Spaniard, having gone well over the first 2 days, but not there. Robert Palm, with those 8 faults, is 51.4 is his score, but Esteban is going to slip right down with those mistakes. Now we move on to Nicolas Touzin, and he is competing out of position on Vendée Globe Jacques, and 36.2 is his score, and one of these pool of HDC horses, prolific in show jumping with Kevin Stowe. But now, can he stay where he is? Just 2 time faults yesterday. All clear so far for Nicolas. As it went earlier on Eberly. And he's clear here. Nice round. I wonder how much he benefited from that early go, because that has, where earlier he'd had pretty added to his score with 8 jumping faults, but they're clear, and that's a good performance from Nicolas Touzin on this horse, and 36.2, and inevitably we'll see him go up the leaderboard here. Now Christopher Burton will be our next rider. He's already quickly on his way. Right, this is Luc Chateau and Troubadour Campoux. Christopher Burton was due to go next. But he's clear at the moment is Luc. competing as an individual. So, happy with his day's work is Luc Chateau on Troubadour Campoux. And he will stay on 41.5. Nicolas Touzard staying on 36.2. Now, next up, the final Italian rider, Ludovica Manzoli on Pin Du Haras, 40.7. And, well, with the way it's shaping up, narrow lead in front of Switzerland. Spain have slipped back to 134.7 with those problems for Esteban Benitez Val. So Ludovica Manzoli will need to try and stay clear, although she's had one down already. And she's hit the final part of the combination as well, so 2 down. Might feel like a long way home from here. Three down, just rather quick into that and got a little close. So the mistakes mounting, having an impact potentially on the final standings. Running a little free. And that's down as well. 4 fences down so far. Time's not an issue, well inside the time. But perhaps needed to be a little bit more cautious. So quite a few mistakes there for Ludovica Manzoli, and that's going to have an impact on the Italians' final position, with Sweden still with a rider to go, and Switzerland, well, they're still maybe looking if they can go clear there. Might never know so we'll wait for confirmation of the Italians' final position, but that will look costly with what that's done to it, with all those fences down. So Jean-Loup Bijou is next to go on Pin Du Haras. 40.2 is his score. This is a 10-year-old. Was one of the combinations to go clear yesterday, so looking for a double clear, just like Luc Chateau did just a few moments ago, because he'd opened up with a very disappointing dressage score. It saw him, I think, propping up the field practically, 104th with 41.5. But that double clear now, we'll see him rise significantly. Big move, but Jean-Loup Bijou was 99th after the dressage, so he too could be finding his position nearer the top half rather than the bottom half. Staying clear. Could it be a double clear for the Frenchman? No! Agony has just got a little too close to that final fence. Frustrating inside the time as well. So 4 faults will be added to Jean-Loup Bijou's total. Now let's confirm what's happened to the Italians here, because Ludovica Manzoli's 16 points it's confirmed as, 4 fences down, no time faults. But that leaves the Italians on a final score of 173.9 and ahead of the Swiss, and have dropped down to 6th spot with that final score. And so they're on 173.9 and in 6th spot with regard to the Nations Cup. Now it's Tim Lips on Eclipse. Of course, he has gone earlier with his Nations Cup horse, Lacoste, where picked up 8 jumping faults and clear through the first 3, now to 4. Now 8, the double. So far so good. Now to 11. Pings that one. Now to 12. And it is a clear round, just inside the time, 82.62. So, judging it well, calm round of jumping from Tim Lips, the experienced Dutch rider who was part of the team bronze medal winning team at WEG here in France in 2014. But Eclipse has gone clear. Now, as far as we're now getting to the first of the German riders to go here, and it's Nikolai Aldinger. Remember, they're just a 3 after Pauline Noor's elimination yesterday. John Warner and Andreas Ostholt, their other riders, and Nikolai Aldinger riding here Newell. Coming round to fence 3. Very impressive looking grey horse. 10 years of age. "30-year-old is Nikolai. Definitely a horse that he's got eyes on for the future, and he's keeping. Oh, that was the touch of the commentator's curse, saying it was all going well, but now he's had a fence down, and that's going to make it a little easier for the French to win. And 2 fences down now, and actually, well, the Dutch are starting to look as if they might have aspirations of the second spot if their next 2 riders can go well. With points going to be added here, and there's a 3rd down at 11, just brushing that, and a 4th down. So after an encouraging start to the final jumping phase for Newell, from fence 6 it all became a bit of a struggle and unravelled, and with time fault added as well. So looks as if that's going to be 17 points added to Nikolai Aldinger, and well, it's really much opened the door now for the French in terms of winning here. The battle for the minor honours is beginning to get a little intriguing in this FEI Eventing Nations Cup. But for Great Britain now is Fiona Cashel, one of just 2 now left in it, riding Criva Silver de Haar. She had been the discard score on 39.7, but here they go, looking to add some respectability just to well, a rather disappointing conclusion, because obviously Britain leading the FEI Nations Cup eventing series at the moment with some good solid performances, including a win recently in America in the Plains in Washington DC, but they're not going to be following up here with a 2nd win, and obviously going to be finishing 8th. But Fiona, in her own mind, wants to put in a good performance here, and a clear round would be a good feeling. And she remains clear at the moment, does the 36-year-old. Now round 2. Definitely the bogey fence, I think, this 11. But the grey ears pricked, and it's a bogey fence for her as well. So not going to be a clear round for Fiona. Just seems to be catching many out there towards the end of the round. So Fiona Cashel and Kriva Silva de Haar will have 4 points added to their score. Now, as I mentioned, this battle for the minor honours, because with Nikolai Aldinger finishing with a total of 56.9, that has really changed things, because it's brought them much closer to the Dutch, who are on 120.7, and Ralph is the penultimate rider for the Dutch. He's on his way now. He's coming round to fence 3. So Ralph Koremans is riding Henry Z. The 41-year-old riding this 12-year-old. And he's made it through the combination. Been performing well, this horse, at 3-star. 2 top 10s this year in a CCI and a CIC. Stays clear now to the double. This will put some pressure on the Germans for second spot. Germany currently lying 5th overall in the standings. And he is clear. Now let's see how he pops 11. No problems. How's the time looking? Should be all right. And I think it will be all right. Yes, it is all right. And that's why there is a smile on Ralph Koremans' face with that clear round. And now they keep the pressure on the Germans for the second spot. Still yet to see a French rider as far as the Nations Cup is concerned, but the battle for the minors is just heating up a little bit here with that clear round from Ralph Koremans, and he will stay on his score of 38.9. Next up, it's an individual, Alberto Hermosa Ferraz for Spain. Bit of time before the next Nations Cup comes in, and that will be Elaine Penn. We've got a long line now of individuals coming forward. Leader in the clubhouse, as they say, after competing is Nicolas Touzin with 36.2. Just refresh your memory about the leaderboard at the top of the individual. Maxime Livio, 26.4. Mark Todd in second on 27.6. And then Andreas Ostholt in third on Sois Est on 28.5. And then Sarah Bullimore. And then the young Swedish rider Louise Svensson-Hjärde on Waikiki is in fifth. But clear round here now for the Spaniard, Albert Hermosa Ferraz. And he will finish on 38.9. Well, can confirm Ralph Koremans is on 38.9 on 120.7. So let's give you the standings so far with the way this is unraveling. With France out in front, 89.1. Germany with one rider gone, but it was costing. Remember, they've only got 3 counting, 117.9. This is Alberto Hermoso Faras. Mind you those standings in a moment as he stays clear. But like so many, number 11 has come a tumbling.
On rappelle les au score de l'Espagnol. 4 points, c'était parfaitement dans le temps. 74 secondes pour les 83 secondes accordées. Le groupe espagnol qui écope donc de ces 4 points, qui voit son score passer à 42,9.
Final score 42.9 for Alberto Hermoso Faras and Nirio with 4 faults on the penultimate fence there, and a total of 42.9.
Nous sommes à la 53e place maintenant du classement. Dernier cavalier avant la coupure technique. Et Benjamin Massieu représente ainsi les couleurs françaises.
Now Benjamin Massey on Une Vive du Beignet is next in. It was David Doll who went clear, just going out of sequence there with 35.5, so he's actually the leader of the completed riders now. Staying clear. Good round from Benjamin Massey. Will stay on 38.4, well inside the time. Just 2.4 yesterday. An Vive du Beignet, his horse, his 10-year-old, and a good round.
D'être parmi la meilleure moitié des partants donc dans ce CICO 3 étoiles et notamment dans ce prix du conseil départemental de l'Orne puisqu'il courait à titre individuel.
Well, he had a few problems in his round with 8 faults on his first mount, but they're much better. Now another Frenchman coming in. Well, they're going to take a little pause now because looks as if they're just coming to give the course a bit of a harrow, so we will be back in due course for Sydney Dufresne to be the next rider, but just some FEI Eventing Nations Cup here in Haras de Pin, the famous chateau that you're looking at there. Well, we're back after the break, just giving the course the bit of a harrow just to get it back on track. And here we go now with the next rider. It's Sydney Dufresne with Trésormé on a score of 38.2, lying in 52nd spot as far as the individual is concerned, but it's proving quite tricky, this course, with plenty of one or two. The fences at 11 seems to be one of the bogey fences. Coming to 4 now, which has caught the odd person out, and the combination, particularly the middle part, has been the undoing of many. But although just keeping it intact there was Sydney. And Trésormé, 11-year-old, 6.8 yesterday they scored in the penalty points yesterday. The French with a strong hand as far as the Nations Cup is concerned, barring a complete capitulation. Looks as if they will get their 3rd title of the year in the series. And Sydney, though, adds to the clear rounds here, although time faults will be added to his score. He's going to pick up 2 time faults, finishing in 84.42. So a steady round and a clear round. So now, continuing with the next rider, again from France, Mathieu Lemon, and he is riding Tropique Deauville. Now, I'll just give you the classifications we have at the moment, and looking at the way it's working out with the various riders. Oh, that's a fence down at 4. Obviously Britain out of it with the fact that they've only got 2 riders now, and have added to their score, but they're in 8th. But at the top of the leaderboard, as we continue to watch Mathieu Lemon on his way round, 2 fences down so far. The top of the leaderboard, France, then it's Germany, 117.9. Now there's just one more Dutch rider to go, and he's, so if Elaine Penn goes clear, then Germany can't afford to have a fence down with either of their 2 riders, because they don't have the privilege of a discard score. And there's another fence down, so 3 fences down there for Mathieu Lemon. Sydney Dufresne confirmed got 2 time penalties to add to his score, so 40.2 is his score. And the top placed rider to finish, with riders some competing out of sequence, David Dole on 35.5 and 34th. So next rider coming in is Alexis Goury, and riding Vidocq de Taille. 4.8 yesterday in the cross country, after 29.8 in the dressage, standing in 14th. Is competing out of order, as indeed will our next one, Andreas Ostolt, currently 29th. Currently keeping clear is the Frenchman. Taking a bit of a keen hold now, coming to the Devecou fence, but Now to the double. Oh, and that's down. Just running a little bit free. Just felt something was possibly going to happen. Now to the 11. Now to the final fence. Time's not an issue. And neither is that fence an issue, but the one part of that double down. So it's 4 points to be added, and he will be on 38.6. So a little way down the leaderboard. It's very compacted here, but the way the new scoring and everything enables it to get very compacted. Horse, third place horse I should say, Andreas Ostolt on So Is S, but that's his Nations Cup horse. This is Andreas Ostolt on Corvette 31, lying in 13th, 2.4 time faults yesterday, going on from a 29.0 in the dressage. So it's been a good weekend so far for Andreas Ostolt as he goes on his way now. It is not, that's not Alexis Goury, just looking at the caption. As Andreas Ostolt continues on his way. Staying clear. Out to the Devacou fence. This is the one that caught out Alexis Goury. Doesn't catch out Andreas, although a little flick of part B. Round the corner now to 9. And now coming to the final part, and he's clear.
Eh bien voilà, ça c'est bien joué pour le couple allemand, Andreas Ostolt et Corvette 31 qui demeure eh bien, avec une 13e place définitive, en tout cas au pire, hein, avec 31.4 pour le score du film d'Andreas Ostolt. À tout à l'heure avec ses...
To go, who's currently in 7th, and that will be later on. So the first of his 3 rides, and well, an excellent performance from Andreas Ostolt. Now this is coming in now. We have Imogen Murray, won a class already here this week. She's on her good horse Ivor Gooden, a very experienced horse. Imogen Murray, pleased with that win earlier, and Ivor Gooden is looking for a double clear here, was clear inside the time, 37.8. I think it's going to be going to Burley. Now coming to the double. Pops that, and again pops that. So clear at the moment, looking for this double clear, lying in 50th spot at the moment. That's 10, now to 11. Times shouldn't be an issue. Stays clear. Final fence to come for Imogen Murray. It's been a good weekend here, and she has gone double clear. Imogen Murray, the British rider, and will stay on that score of 37.8.
Qui confirme eh bien, leur parcours qui était déjà sans faute au cross hier, sans faute au jumping, dont 37.8.
So Andreas Ostolt on 31.4, in fact going out of order, has put himself in a strong position with regard to the individual. He is sitting behind Maxime Livio. Now we move to Sandra Gustafsson. Disappointing, of course, in the Nations Cup, but now competing on an individual basis. This is with Cavadrat on 37.7, 4.4 yesterday. round to 5. Making it look quite easy. To the double. Plenty of air over that. Now round to 11. Neatly over that. Now to 12. Time looks fine. Oh, but a little disappointing there. A little casual towards that final fence, and that final fence is done. So 4 points. Faults will be added to Sandra Gustafsson's total there, and we'll see her finish on 41.7, the Swedish rider. And so not a disappointing weekend for her, with the fact that she did get eliminated in the cross country, the 30-year-old, but now has finished with her other horse, and will confirm her position. Just Ivor Gooden just confirming that double clear, as we move on now to Pauline Noor, who, like Sandra Gustafsson, didn't have such a good day competing on the German team. Both were eliminated, and Pauline Noor now in the young German rider on Starlight 281. This is just the 11-year-old. 6.4 time faults yesterday in the cross country, backing up a reasonable dressage, 31.2. So she's on her way now, despite rattling 2 parts of that combination. They all stay intact, and she remains clear. Here is 7. Oh, but no longer clear. Just rather untidy into that. I've just got to keep concentration. Oh, I don't know how that stayed in, but it did. And just the horse getting a little sloppy and reluctant to go into that. That's, I think, the second refusal we've seen at fence 10. Sort of came from the 7th fence, then just horse just lost some rhythm, and now just getting the horse going again. But that's going to be costly, with time faults being added, and let's see what she's going to be ending up with. 25, plenty of time faults being added, and well, that's going to put her right down the leaderboard with those time faults. So disappointing for Pauline Noor. So the weekend ending rather disappointing. They did as far as the team was concerned yesterday, and now that round has added to her woes, but all part of the learning curve for the young German rider. Has now coming in is from France, Didier Villefert, on his way, riding Tessautier, Millie, and owned by the Ministry of Defence, this horse. And Didier is on a score of 37.1. Pauline Noor, can confirm, picked up 31 points and has now slipped down to 68.6 on the standings, and has moved it down into 85th spot. So not what she was hoping for, as Didier Villefert continues on his way, staying clear, now at the midway point. Horse taking a keen hold. Still clear. Time should be fine time-wise. Coming to the final fans. Can you get that as well to proceedings here? So, a decent effort from Didier. And another French rider to come in, Raphael Cochet, on 36.9, riding this grey. Sherazade de Louvière, 10-year-old grey, rather 12-year-old grey, read my writing here in front of me, and Raphael Cochet, 1.6 yesterday, not far outside the optimum time after a 35.3 opening dressage. Saw him standing in 68th, now starting the day in 46th today, and now has had a fence down already, so damage limitation from here on in. Nicely through the combination, very smooth. Double time, easily. No hesitation there from Sherazade de Louvière. And after that early blunder, all is good. And time judged pretty well, just inside the allotted time, having knocked down fence 3. The front pole sent to the ground, and that means that his score will go up. Didier Villefert confirmed, finishing on 37.1. So next now we go to Francois Pont, and he's riding Siam Telirandi, again a 12-year-old, Bay Gelding, and 36.7 is his score. 3.2 yesterday, having opened up with a 33.5 and in 45th spot, and he stayed in 45th spot after the second phase. A little bit of pole rattling there, but no damage done. Taking a bit of a keen hold now, having to put the brakes on a bit, coming into 8, but adjusted well. Coming to the final fence, and it's down. Shame. That has been a pretty good run. It was a little free at times, but still a little of frustration on Francois' face there, having that pole down. The front pole of that final fence is catching a few out, and Francois was another one of those to be caught out. Now Tom Crisp looking to make it a double clear following an opening dressage of 36.2. Saw his position move to 42nd after being in 76th spot on day after the dressage, riding Liberty and Glory. So how can the British rider get on here? Picking up clear, but 3 time faults on board Cooley's Luxury earlier. So looks like to be going a little bit quicker this time. Still clear. Horse jumping these well so far. Running into 10. Oh, that's done. Just running a little too quickly into that and couldn't quite get the height. No problems at 11, although a bit of a rattle. And let's see what happens at 12. So, not going to be a double clear, but the time's not an issue this time for Tom Crisp, but there is 4 faults to be added to his score. And so that means he moves up to 40.2, but we will confirm that in due course. And that's Francois Point. He goes on to 40.7, following the 4 points being added to his score. So now, it is Camille Lejeune, and the score for Camille is 36.1. 2.4 was the cross-country penalty, added to his 33.7 on dressage. So that's why he's on 36.1. That's an individual here. Won't be long before we have our next Nations Cup entry. That'll be Elaine Penn. It'll be a significant one for Holland. Still clear at the moment is Camille as he turns into the combination and is out through that. Keeping an eye on the time here. That's why he's just put an injection of pace after that fence. Should be all right now coming to this final fence. It's going to be close. Let's see. Just outside. And he's just a little cross with himself. I may have had with that one time fault being added. Just suddenly realised that the clock needed to be respected. So one time fault being added there for Camille Lejeune. Just could feel it was not going too quickly. No. So he's going to... Next up is Aurélie Reidweg of France. And she's riding Rohan de Manieu. And this is a 13-year-old bay gelding. And 35.8 after a good dressage, 29.8, but some time faults, 6 yesterday. But it was a good dressage opening, not bad yesterday. But can she build on that? To 6, popping that down the side of the arena to the Devaku fence, easy enough. Now to the double at 8, and that's fine. Swinging round, back across the arena. This looks all right time-wise as well. Plenty of air over the difficult 11th fence. Now to the final fence. Time's fine, but not the jumping. Got too close. That's why the front pole went down. And 81.23. So the previous 14 jumping efforts had been negotiated well enough, but that last one just catching the pair out. So Aurélie Reidweg finishes well on 39.8. Camille Lejeune with that 1 point, time point fault added is now slipped down to 37.1 and just down the field a little bit. Is very close. There's many slight changes. Leading the way, having gone out of order, is Andreas Ostad on 31.4. Now, next up is Florent Lafoeg, who's going to have interest in making sure Pin Du Haras goes clear for France in the Nations Cup, but competing here with Triton Fontaine, the 11-year-old Bay Gelding. 35.5, 2.8 is the score for him in the cross country, and 32.7 in the dressage. But Karim now coming round to the side of the arena. Been fine so far, everything's going well. Oh, but I'm putting the commentator's curse out here because 11's down, but 12 stays intact. So 4 to add, and Karim FEI is they're going to add 39.5 will be the score there. No time faults added. Lots of changes in the sort of mid-pack here. Finding clear rounds. We've seen David Dole's had one. So's Nicolas Touzat, Cedric Liard, Didier Villafert clear, Imogen Murray, Benjamin Massive all gone clear. Raf Kuremans for Holland, significant won that one with regard to the Nations Cup. Some of the clear rounds that we've had here. Luke Chateau double clear after a disappointing dressage, but a great response. Now, from Japan, Kenki Sato, of course, with the Olympics very much in mind in Tokyo, Japan looking to build their team, and this is not a bad performance here in this very competitive 3-star, and a good performance here will give him further confidence. 1 or 2 good Japanese risers emerging, and Kenki Sato doing well here, and he's clear to 7. Riding Shanaklof Contadora, a 8-year-old. So looking 2 years hence, just will be a 10-year-old, and obviously progressing all the time. So very much with the Olympics in mind, makes a hash of that. Got it all wrong stride-wise. Maybe that's a little bit of inexperience there from both horse and rider, but one for the memory bank. And coming to the final fence, and pops that one, and how's the time looking? That's fine. So just the 10th fence down, but all the same, not bad for Kenki Sato on Shanaklof Contadora. Now, back on the Nations Cup front, this is the last of the Dutch riders. It is Elaine Penn on undercover with a score of 35.5. Now this has significant implications, because if she goes clear with the Dutch in third on 120.7, then there's every chance Germany will be under pressure to protect their second spot here. And so far Elaine, jumping the first 2, is clear. Round to 3, and gives that one plenty of air. The 28-year-old won a CIC 3-star earlier this year, beating David Dole fairly convincingly. And was part of the bronze medal winning team in WEG in 2014, where she finished 12th, the best of the Dutch riders. Coming to 7, now looking to come down to the double at 8. Takes that one effortlessly enough. Just got to keep an eye on the time as she moves round to the 9 and 10. Should be all right time-wise, but the clear is what she wants to put pressure on Germany. Stands off that one, gets clear. Now the final fence for Elaine Penn. Can she go clear? Can it be the second clear round for Holland today? Yes, it is. And look at the time, no problems at all, and a big smile. There's great recovery from the Dutch today with clear rounds. And in fact, that's been 3 clear rounds for the Dutch. A terrific display from the team as a whole, with not only Elaine Penn going clear, Raf Koeremans and Sanne de Jong all enjoyed clear rounds, and that means they will finish on 120.7, and there's not much room for error now for the Germans if they want to stay in second spot with 2 riders still to go. And now we're on to Sarah Bullimore. She's got Reb de Rey to go later, who's currently lying in 4th spot, but here she's riding Compierre, an experienced horse, 11-year-old, and Sarah Bullimore enjoys. In fact, it's not by the looks of things. Oh, Sarah Bullimore it is, yes. I've got horses all over the screen here, but here is Sarah coming down, stays clear. Vastly experienced 45-year-old. No. And she's given 10 a flick down. It is proving a little bit troublesome, that fence, and indeed Sarah suggested it might. She thought 4 and 10 would be difficult before this competition. Well, she's been true to her word. So, finishing there. So, Sarah Bullimore finishing. I'll bring you details of her score in a moment. But Elaine Penn, we can confirm in that with that clear round, has really given the Germans something to think about with regard to the minor classifications, and you just never know, depending how the French get on. None of them have so far gone. The first of the French riders will be Karim Florent Lafoueg. They're currently lining first, 9th, 17th and 18th spots on the individual standings. Now we continue with the Spanish rider, Gonzalo Blasco Botin. And Spain, well, looking nailed on, barring an absolute horror show here for 4th spot. With Sweden, they're on 134.7 currently, and Sweden on 161.0, with Sweden with 1 rider to go, and on his way now to 4, but he's had the first part done. Spain with this their last rider, Esteban Benitez Val was their 3rd rider, and that didn't go so well. He had 24 points. Oh, just a bit of a rattle there, but stays good. But I have 1 down there. So 2 fences down, now 1 more to go. And 2 it will stay then for the final Spanish rider, Gonzalo Blasco Botin, riding Sevier d'Ortiz for Spain.
Cette Coupe des Nations avec un score total à 142.7, puisque vous le savez, les équipes qui sont composées de 4 cavaliers et seulement les 3 meilleurs scores sont donc conservés pour le score par équipe.
Just confirmed Sarah Bullimore was eliminated from the show jumping. So off we go with the next rider. We'll confirm the Spanish score in a moment for Gonzalo Blasco Botin as the next rider into the arena is Maxime Livio. This will be a good sighter for him on Opium de Verrières, currently lying in 14th. Individual standings on 31.5, 1.2 yesterday, 30.3 dressage. His leader is Picador on 26.4. Brilliant in the dressage, keeping it clear so far. But again, no, as far as individual standings are concerned, such a competitive rider. Stays clear. A very effortless round of jumping this has been, although just brushing that, but all well. Now comes to the final fence, just slightly checked into it, and the time is fine. So, well, Maxime Livio proving all his class there, and will stay on 31.5. And he will actually just be 0.1 behind Andreas Ostolt, who went earlier, so Andreas Ostolt still out in front of the completed riders. Now the final Swiss rider is Tiziana Realini, and she is riding Pin Du Haras, and well, Caroline Gerber went clear, so here's a chance for a second clear, although that is all ended already. With an early fence down, 3 is proving a little bit troublesome. But the Swiss in 7th, and that's where they're going to stay. Italy have completed, and 6th. One more Swedish rider to go. But Tiziana Realini was very good yesterday in the cross country. Clear inside the time. And just that frustrating early fence at the moment, and it's going to stay that way. And easily inside the time, but fence 3 causing her a problem, but she still looks pleased and happy enough, does the Swiss rider, with her efforts over the weekend, the 34-year-old, and Toubla de Rivière, the 11-year-old, certainly giving her grounds for encouragement going forward from here. Now, next we've got another individual rider. It is Rémi Pilot on 35.3, lying in 32nd at the end of the cross-country phase, with 1.6 in the cross-country yesterday after a 33.7 dressage. Let's see how he gets on. Starting to get to the business end as far as the individual competition is concerned. And charging down to 4. Just has to get the horse to check a little bit into that. To keep the horse up to mark here, and does this 11-year-old bay gelding. And he owns this horse as well. Now to 11. Still clear. This is good. And no mistake over the final fence. So another clear round. 2 successive jumping clears, although there were time falls yesterday. And clearly, Rémi Pilot delighted with his horse's efforts. So Chic de Levant. And that means that he will stay on 35.3. Now David Dole is the next rider in for Great Britain with his grey ice fee, the 11-year-old grey, and obviously disappointing from a British perspective with two of the team having to pull out their horses means that they are not they are but a sideshow now to the Nations Cup story. And David just flicks that one down and scored 1.2 time faults yesterday after a 33.9 opening dressage. The 25-year-old British rider who's looking to make more impact and is making an impact this year. So many talented young British riders, it's a hard pack to emerge from. But he's getting the horsepower, as proved by the fact that he's had 4 horses in this class alone. So he was pretty busy yesterday. Been pretty busy today. Oh, he never was going into that. You could just see the horse was never really giving him a good feel and never took off. So 2 fences down. And David Dole's job is done, but as I say, Britain's cause a lost one before the trot up this morning with the non-appearance of both Will Furlong and Tom Jackson as far as the team is concerned. So David Dole, a nice feat with the 8. Remy Pilo, we can confirm with that clear 35.3. Now continuing down, Clara Loiseau went earlier, and with an earlier horse was Won't Wait, and was in 34th at the start of the day. But now let's see if she can put in another good round as she is on her way. She had 1 fence down in her first round with her other horse. And back foot brings down the middle part of that, just dragging it off. Just again didn't get the height. A little flat over the fence. Well, 2 fences down for Clara Loiseau and Ultra May, a 10-year-old bay, and so that will change her position in the leaderboard with that performance. Now to another of the vastly experienced Frenchmen, but he's not French riders here, but not competing as part of the team. But Cata de Push Rouget is a vastly experienced campaigner, a real solid performer. Cata de Push Rouget, 34.5, looking to go double clear. And he's on his way on a score of 34.5. Was the opening dressage score, but moved up significantly from 61st to 28th. First part of the treble down, just came down a bit steep on it. And then the second part of the double is done. Well, this is getting costly now because that's 3 fences down. And not what he was looking for there, Cedric Liard, with his wily old campaigner. Qatar de Perche-Roger finished the 14-year-old chestnut because picking up 4 jumping errors and 16 pot faults. So Cedric Liard will go down significantly. Now we've got Mark Todd with McLaren. This is McLaren, his first of 2 horses, and McLaren highly rated, and I think has got WEG on his mind, and this will be a good pipe opener for McLaren. 0.4 time faults yesterday in the cross country. That probably would have annoyed Mark Todd, being so close to the optimum time. 34.0 dressage. And coming round, we'll be riding Leonidas later, who's second in the individual standings. Mark Todd off to try on again another World Equestrian Games. The man shows no sign of saying enough is enough, just wants to keep on doing it. And how easy is he making it look so far on McLaren? Barely touched the fence, I think. And that was a very smooth, clear round of jumping, and Mark Todd happy with that. That sets him up nicely, and obviously just what he's hoping, a good confidence boosting round of jumping from McLaren. This 11-year-old who will be, it is expected, the main hope for WEG. Now, so going to finish on 34.4. Now, it is ride number 2 for Andreas Ostol, currently lying in 13th, having completed with Corvette, who was clear, and on he goes. So, his horse for the Nations Cup is So It's Est, and as I mentioned, Germany can ill afford to have a fence down if they want to stay in second spot, but Andreas Ostol now looking to continue his fine form here this weekend with this trio of horses. Just having to keep the horse going, and so far Pennsylvania is responding. On the turn to 11, and that was easy as you like, that 11 which has been so costly, and 12 was equally well taken, and the time is a well judged 80.32. So it's another clear round for Andreas Ostol. So he will remain on 30.4. So once again, he sort of goes to be the, to use a golfing analogy, leader in the clubhouse, having completed and 30.4, and was in 7th spot. Now, next up, Nicolas Touzin for France. Absolute Gold is the 8-year-old that Nicolas Touzin is riding. Another of the HTC horses, 34.2, looking to make it a double clear. 34.2 penalties is his score at this stage. Coming round, jumping 2. Fine so far. And gain the rider's perspective through that, but horse made it look easy. Now 11, and just so they're having to work a bit hard towards the end of the round, and that mistake coming at the frequently hit 11, so 4 to be added to Nicolas Toussaint's score, and will be on 38.2, and that will drop him around about 64th on the standings, so a big drop down the standings there. Shows how compact the leaderboard is as we move on to Lionel Guillon, quickly into action, and he is riding Tactique de la Lou, and another 11-year-old gelding, one of the co-owners of this horse, looking like Nicolas Touzin to go double clear, to remain on his dressage penalty score of 34.0. Round to 9. This is the 9th fence here. Liverpool's provided a few difficulties. I wonder whether this is the most costly. Probably 11. Well, they're slowly over that one, but no problems in terms of time, so it is a double clear for Lionel Guillon, and will stay on 34.0, and he was starting today in 25th, but every chance that he could see himself, and he knows he was a little lucky. You could see the reaction there over that final fence, that there was a little bit of good fortune perhaps. As we're off and running on the next one, Martin Hamillon is ready to go with Quillon Menjoulet. 33.6 is his score. Good dressage, 29.2, backed up with a 4.4 time penalty score in the cross country, and that's why he's 7.2 behind the leader and in 24th, and stays clear over 4. Had to check there, but got away with it. Big standoff of the double. Thought about coming down that pole on 9, but it was kind to him. But that not so kind, just never gave it enough there. Just Give it a right old clobber and it goes down. So it's a 8-fault round for Martin Amion. So he will now drop down to 41.6 and right down the leaderboard. Next up is Malin Josefsson, another of Swedish riders who went earlier in the Nations Cup, but had a few difficulties. 16 penalty faults she picked up there. I'm looking for a confidence boosting round here on Golden Midnight. 10-year-old Bay Gelding. And another one looking for a double clear here. 33.6 her starting score here, and she's staying clear. Oh no, that 10. Again, just got to sometimes get a bit free, don't you? She's having to apply the brakes here. It's proving quite a handful. Coming to the final fence. Can she keep it together? Really speedily over, but happily in the end. Not too much damage done, just the one. Goodness me, she was quick. Because she's come home in 74 seconds. She was turning on the afterburners in there, but she's just had the one fence done. Now Alexis Guri is the next rider to come in. He did go earlier, and when he was he was started the day in 29th. So let's see how he can get on here. On Trompe l'Oeil d'Emery. Had one fence down earlier on his other horse. This is all fine now at the moment for the Frenchman. Last fence to come. And a good round of jumping there from Trompe l'Oeil d'Emery and Alexis Guri. So they'll stay on 33.0. So a good weekend's work. And giving the horse a well-deserved pat for the efforts from his chestnut gelding. Now, back to the Nations Cup picture. Jorn Warner for Germany, Vico Pop. This is the battle for the minors. What can he do? Needs to try and make sure he has no problems here. 117.9 is the German score. Only 3 riders counting here. The Dutch have completed 120.7 with 3 riders going clear. So much on Jorn Warner here. Andres Ostolt still to come as far as the FEI Eventing Nations Cup is concerned, and that fence is down. Well. And he just got it all wrong into 4. Now it's just a question of keeping it together through the combination. That is costly. It just, can he, now with those 4 faults to be added, and that will put them behind the Dutch on 117.9. The Dutch on 120.7. That fourth fence. And now he's had another one down. Again, 10. Such a vital 4 and 10, proving influential here to the outcome for the minor placings in the FEI Eventing Nations Cup. Jorn Warner comes to the final fence, and he's inside the time, only just, but it is 8 faults for Jorn Warner. We'll wait for confirmation on the score and what it will mean, but by my reckoning, it means that the Dutch have moved up into second spot, taking over from the Germans with that disappointing round. Nikolai Aldinger didn't have a good jumping round as well, and it is a fine effort from the Dutch here, and yes, it has moved the Germans behind the Dutch. 125.9 Germany's score is, with one more to go. The Dutch have completed, so they move into second on 120.7, and the French still, with all their riders to go, sitting pretty, and they can afford to have a, well, they've got a big cushion, a 30-point cushion. It's really going to have to be an absolute nightmare for the French team, and that doesn't seem possible the way they've been jumping so far this weekend and the quality of the horses that they have in their lineup here. So we continue now with the Brice Luda from France and Valérie de Bonnière. And he is on 32.2. Looking for a clear round here and to make it a double clear. With just looking for a decent finish, but unfortunately he's had one of the parts of the combination done.
Pour ce tête de saut d'obstacle, eh bien deux barres sont à terre, milieu du triple, le 11 avec les drapeaux européens. Bon, total de 8 points, pourtant cadence idéale puisque dans le temps imparti pour Brice Luda. Et on va poursuivre et de notre remontée à la 18e place. Nous sommes bienvenus à Telstar de Port-de-Nave et son pilote.
So, Brice Luda completes his round. 40.2 is the final score for Brice Luda. On we go now with Gilles Pont. And then we will be getting into the first of the French riders to come in, Karim Florent Lafoeg. But on they go with Gilles Pont on Telstar de Bordenave. And again, another one looking to go double clear, 32.1 his score, in 18th spot. As we get now to the serious business end of not only the team competition, but the individual competition. This is a very competitive one with the quality of the horse that's on show here. The really good combinations. And sadly there for Gilles, fence 4 has gone down. Has proved tricky for, as some thought it would. I think he had the first part of the double done, just went off my screen, just up to 8 now. Now round to the 11. One more to go. time might be quite close. He is going to pick up some time faults, so in fact it's 3 time faults along with those 8, so it's a bit of a plummet down the leaderboard for Gilles Pont and Telstar de Bordenave, and should go on to 43.1, and as I say, well down the leaderboard. Now, the first of the French Nations Cup riders, Karim Florian Lafoueg, is the rider. He's riding Pin Du Haras. Such a good horse this has been for him. And what can he do here just to really consolidate, clear around, or just further confirm the emphatic nature of the expected win for the French on board this 13-year-old who was part of the gold medal winning team in Rio in 2016. 10th in WEG as well, so individually so much experience from this horse for Pin Du Haras. And just had that first fence down, but still 3 more combinations to come, and so I don't expect this to be a major problem, but it just keeps a little bit of, oh dearie me, and Tebby really went wrong there. So this is all a bit untidy at the moment. So perhaps not been quite the performance that Karim Florian Lafoueg was wanting from his star performer, with those 2 jumping errors. Still a long way off 11. And pings 12. So it's going to be 8 added to his score, and that's going to put him on 40 exactly. But he has been the discard score on both occasions. Did jump clear yesterday, but his dressage was the worst of the French quartet with 32.0. Now, next up is Astier Nicolas, again with part of the French team. As far as the Nations Cup is concerned, the highest ranked rider in the world rankings, in 18th, but we do have obviously Mark Todd, many others who are higher, but in terms of the Nations Cup, he is the highest rank, and here he is riding Vinci de la Vigne, highly regarded young horse, just 9 years of age, and many good performances already. Staying clear. Oh dear, well, that suddenly draws them a little closer to the Dutch, so, but just depends how many more. Adding a little bit of tension to proceedings, but he's staying clear at the moment. Time's not a problem, so just the 1 fence down. So that'll move them to 93.1. If it stays as this with just the 1 fence, Karim's score will be the discard. And it is just the 1 fence, well inside the time. But as I say, it will be an additional score, just closing the gap. Remember, 120.7, but still with 2 riders to go, and 8 and 4. I mean, they've just got to go absolutely horribly wrong. So it's basically 3 out of 3 for the French by the looks of things in the FEI Eventing Nations Cup series so far. 3 teams have been entered in previous competitions, and it's 3 wins the way things are going. Now, having a good weekend, another French rider here, Marie-Charlotte Fuss, on 31.6 and 15th at the start of this jumping competition after 2 time faults. Good dressage at 29.6, but that fence is down, fence 3. can confirm that the French score goes up to 93.1, but still a huge cushion of over 27 points ahead of the Dutch in second. And as I say, scrabbling around for the minors, and with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't look like we'll have any more change now, with the French beating the Dutch, with Germany in third. That's been the big change today, with Spain in fourth and Sweden in fifth, Italy seventh, Switzerland in seventh, Switzerland in seventh, Italy in sixth, Great Britain, oh dear, and that is au revoir for Marie-Charlotte Fuss, and a look of sort of huge disappointment on her face is going out the side door, and elimination for her. So big disappointment, having gone so well over the first 2 days. Just didn't happen for her there. Just trying to get the horse, just standing, wondering what all the fuss is about. The arena staff gathering her, and a ripple of applause from the sympathetic crowd here in Arras de Pin as she makes the lonely walk out of the arena. Right, next up. So disappointment. No. Emma McNabb is the next into the arena, with the next horse coming in, and Fernhill Tabasco lying in 12th, this 10-year-old bay gelding, owned by Kevin McNabb. But Emma here, really good performance, and of course is part of the shortlist for the Australian eventing team. Not making their decision, probably almost this weekend is decision time, particularly with the news that's been coming out about the slight adaptations they may be making to the cross-country course in Tryon. Oh, that fence is just a little low. She'll be cross with that fence being down, the second part of the double, because everything else has been calmly executed, including the last fence. So 80.51 the time, but 4 faults to be added, so 35.4 is where she is at now. So and we'll see her slip down to round about, I think, 19th spot is where she'll be at the moment.
4 faults for Emma McNabb and Fernhill Tabasco, that's 35.4 penalties.
So next into the arena we have Arnaud Boiteau on Coriano in HN, the 14-year-old, and scores so far double clears his aim here after 31.4, and now puts him right in the hunt. Just behind, well, Andres Holstold is the leader, 30.4, and of course he's got Soed S, but whatever, this could be a good weekend for Arnaud Boiteau. Horse was clever. Little deliberate over his fences. Now the final fence. And it is a double clear for Arnaud Boiteau. and will stay on 31.4. And this is a good weekend's work for Arnaud Boiteau, who will, well, keep himself possibly, maybe on course for a top 10 finish here. So, could be, currently will stay in 11th spot, I think. No. No, this is, it's Donation Schulli on Pin Du Haras. This 10-year-old. What a good performance he's put in over the weekend. Now, can he really just confirm that France will be the winners of their home leg in the FEI Eventing Nations Cup? And it is all looking pretty good so far. Gives the first combination a mighty thwack, but it's kind to him. Oh dear. Not so kind then. Gathering. Here we go. 2 fences to go. Time's absolutely on the money. The final fence is jumped. And whatever happens now, France will be winning the home leg of the FEI Eventing Nations Series. 3 wins out of 3. 1 rider still to go. May make it a wonderful weekend if they can also take the individual prize here with Maxime Livier leading the way. But rider number 3 for France picks up just 4 faults, and whatever, they will be winning the Nations Cup, because nothing can get in the way now. And that will 93.1. 93.1, 1 rider to go. Well, here is Donation Schulli coming in for France. That was Thibaut Fournier. But now, Donation coming in. All good, so just the 1 fence down. But keeping it together. Oh, a little untidy at 7. Yeah, he's just not quite as smooth as he would like. Coming round, 2 to go. 1 fence. France in control. He stands off, but gets a good leap from the horse. And Pin Du Haras jumped the last, just the 1 fence down. And a good performance. He had 0.8 time faults yesterday. The only French rider not to go clear inside the time, but by the narrowest of margins. And 30.0 was his dressage score. But it's been a good weekend, and a good weekend for the French FEI Eventing Nations Cup team. Fine performance, and they are consolidating their position. Can confirm Thibaut Fournier, 4 points, has moved him down into about 16th spot. But Donation Schulli, the young French rider, good work from him. making sure there are no alarms for the French. And 93.1 was the score at the start of that as a team classification, so far in front of the Dutch. They have completely dominated the weekend's proceedings with a convincing display. A strong team, and a strong team have delivered on home soil. But now we watch a British rider, Richard Coney, on Kananaskis. Also owned by him, 1.2 yesterday after a good dressage of 29.4. So it's a good weekend for Richard Coney so far, keeping it clear. And there's plenty of British riders to come in subsequently. Laura Collett and Sarah Bullimore, as we watch him carry on his way through the combination. Now coming down the side. Very tidy through that. Good performance from Richard here, given the quality of the field. Right up there. Good horse. Just 10 years of age, got a bright future. So how's the time looking? That shouldn't be a problem. Coming to the final fence, just needs to keep the horse going. And I tell you what, that's a very fine weekend's work for Richard Coney. He will stay on his score of 30.6. Got to be pleased with that in terms of the progression of this horse, Kananaskis, and will be pleased with that. And it's going to be a top 10 finish for Richard Coney, and that will feel pretty good. So the French now move to 97.1 on the standings, and whatever happens now, nothing is going to stop them winning. But what about Laura Collett winning maybe on an individual basis? Well, she knows that on this horse, Mr. Bass, who is probably her top-rated horse in terms of her hopes, and has got very much weight on her mind. There's a lot going on in Hartbury over in the UK, where significant performances have been put in by team members, potential team members, and Laura Collett here on Mr. Bass will be hoping to make sure that the selectors give her the nod in the team. But her performance so far with 28.8 dressage and 1.6 time faults yesterday. Now coming round to 5. Keeping under control, studying concentration, try and make sure got Mr. Bass smoothly through that. The turnaround. This is looking quite good. Certainly going to be a selection nudger for the Great British hierarchy. With one fence to go, time's going to be straightforward. Coming to fence 12, and she pops it. So a great run from Mr. Bass. And a big pat on the neck from Laura Collett on Mr. Bass. The 10-year-old, 30.4 is the score there. So it's going to be a good finish for Laura Collett here. And she picked up 1.6 time faults yesterday, 4 seconds outside the optimum time after a good dressage of 28.8. So a good weekend's work for Laura Collett and Mr. Bass. Now for Sweden. Certainly been impressive from Louise Svensson-Jada on Waikiki. Now this is a very good horse, this, who's put in some seriously good jumping performances. He doesn't tend to have a fence down. Don't think has had a fence down at 3-star level this year, and maybe it's not had horse hasn't had a fence down since July of last year when jumping. This might be the kiss of death, but for Louise Svensson-Jada, the young Swedish rider with this horse, will be looking to be right in there, 29.4, knowing that the riders above can't afford to have fences down. And the leader is on 26.4, so still a good chance. Whatever, it's been an impressive performance. She is competing for the Swedish Nations Cup team, who teammates have not quite delivered the same level of performance that she has here. But whatever, she's going to take great credit from this. Stays clear through 6 now to 7. That's fine. Economical jumping style. Doing it well. Here's pricked. Oh, just veered a little bit, but seems to enjoy his jumping work. And that's why she's got such a good record when jumping. And is she going to maintain this fine run of not having had a fence down for over a year in competition with this horse? And yes, she is. Wow. And that is good. She finishes on 29.4 with Waikiki. And Louise Svensson-Jada for Sweden. They will finish 5th as a team this weekend on 161.0. With the mainstay of their efforts, the 28-year-old Swedish rider. Well, next up, it is Sarah Bullimore, who was second in France with this horse at Pau last year, and jumped clear. Not always the most precision of jumpers. He's liable to throw in the old one, but is still a highly regarded horse and has put her in right in a chance here. So can she go clear? Sarah Bullimore had to retire her earlier horse. 29.1 here is her starting point, having gone clear yesterday. 2 seconds inside the optimum time. 3 here to 4. She saw this as a bogey fence when talking beforehand, but not in Rev de Rouet's case. Now round to the combination. That's fine. Here we go. To 6. Pops that. Oh no, but not the first part of the double. Back foot bringing it down. As I said, is prone to the odd error, and that's what's happened here for Rev de Rouet. That'll frustrate Sarah. Oh, got too close to that. There was no hope. She didn't like 10 beforehand. She thought it was going to be a bogey fence, and it has been her undoing. Now jumps 11, coming round to 12. So, 4 faults it is for Rev de Rouet and for France and Sarah Bullimore. That will put Louise Svensson-Jada as the leader at the moment with 3 riders to go. Andres Ostolt, Mark Todd and Maxime Livio. And the final rider for Germany, but they've been undone and will be finishing in 3rd spot from a team perspective. But Andreas Ostolt on his very talented horse, so is Et on 26.9. They had 1.6 time faults yesterday, coming home in 6:44. 28.5. This is his 3rd horse. He's currently lying in 7th with Pennsylvania. So can he maintain the pressure on Maxime Livio for the individual honours here, as Sarah Bullimore drops down significantly down the leaderboard with those 8 faults, in fact, it turned out to be. And having the double and 10 down. And Andreas Ostolt riding pretty aggressively with this horse. He's making sure the horse is concentrating. Now to 8. nicely through that. So it's been a really good weekend for the Germany. Will be disappointed with the Nations Cup outcome. But in his case, I think that has just gone down. Yes, it has. 10 is down. Another one who's found that out, just flicking that down. Giving him, almost seemed to be harsh the way he brushed through it. But just the one fence down for Andreas Ostholz, a heel slip down. So it still means Louise Svensson-Jada is out in front. 2 more combinations to go. She's on 29.4. Neither can afford to have a fence down, or the young 28-year-old Swede is going to win the individual competition. The Nations Cup jumping has been decided in terms of France beating the Netherlands with Germany in third. But now it's the turn of Mark Todd to see if his prolific horse Leonas, so many good finishes at badminton and so many other good performances along the way, and he's already shown with McLaren how to get round this course, and you wouldn't put it past him to put in a good display of jumping here. But it's by no means a foregone conclusion. This course is just catching out at moments, but will it catch someone out with his experience? Now 4, no problems for Leonidas, this 14-year-old. Through the combination, despite hitting that first part, round to 6. Here he comes to 7, that's fine. Time shouldn't be an issue, but just be keeping a wary eye on it. But it looks good enough. Makes 10 look easy. And now turning around to 11. Oh, flappable does he look at the moment, Mark Todd. So here he comes, the final fence, and that was another masterclass from Mark Todd, well inside the time, 81.02. So he is the leader now, 27.6, but he had been watching while he did that. Maxime Livio already in the arena, of course, out to consolidate it and make it a double win for the French here on home soil, not only in the Nations Cup but in the individual CIC 3-star. Such a high quality field, taking some winning. The Nations Cup may have been a more facile affair for the French, but for Maxime Livio, the 31-year-old, this is the moment where he has a chance to win here at this famous equestrian venue here in France. And here he is on Pico d'Or, Maxime Livio, this 15-year-old who is such a good jumper. Over his career, been clear 12 times from 16 efforts in jumping, so has a very reliable record, but knows that that record can't be made worse today, because then won't be winning. So the 31-year-old's going to have to be on his guard. He's got to be wary of the time too, but most of these are making it comfortably enough. The French quartet completely dominating throughout the weekend, and this man leading the way. Can he cement their victory with a clear? So far so good. Time is fine. Makes 10 look easy. 2 to go. Maxime Livio, the Frenchman, comes towards it. No problem. Final fence now. and he has been totally dominant this weekend. A thoroughly deserved victory as far as the individual competition is concerned for the Frenchman, with a score of 26.4. But it is further vindication of the thoroughly convincing victory from the French in the FEI Eventing Nations Cup Series, the fifth leg here in Haras de Pin, won by the French. It's 3 out of 3. 3 appearances, 3 wins, and they go to the top of the Nations Cup standings with that victory. And the French have thoroughly deserved it, and this most competitive of riders has ensured the French have plenty to celebrate, with Picador making this particular jumping course look very easy indeed. Many had found it difficult, but not this combination, as the French win here in Haras de Pin, beating the Netherlands, who put in a wonderful day today with 3 clear rounds to move into second spot. Way behind though, 97.1 the final score for the French, 120.7 is the Dutch score. Germany had a bad day at the office today, slipping to third and 129.9. Spain 142.7 in fourth, and then Sweden in fifth on 161. Italy sixth, the Swiss seventh, and Great Britain in eighth, but that was because 2 of their horses had to pull out before the final jumping phase of this FEI Eventing Nations Cup Series. But it's France who win here, and win convincingly, and this very competitive individual class as well has gone to the Frenchman Maxime Livier. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage here in Haras de Pin. The 1, 2, 3 as far as the individual is concerned is Picador, Maxime Livio, Waikiki, 207 for Louise Svensson Yada. Wonderful effort from the young Swede. And Laura Collett has certainly given the British selectors something to think about, with an excellent third place here on her Mr. Bass. Andreas Olstolt in fourth, and then Richard Coney emerging here with his young horse Kananaskis. Well, he'll be mighty pleased with his 5th place. But it's the French who win here, taking the FEI Eventing Nations Cup and dominating as they go to the top of the leaderboard of the standings.
reputation of the wedge. I mean, I was here, I was so pleased to be commentating the wedge, and then afterwards I got so disappointed that everybody was, you know, sort of ribbing it, saying that it had been a lousy show, the worst wrestling games ever. And I was thinking, oh my god, I was in it. And thinking, oh,
well, no, you can't have everything, but
no, but you know, it's probably one of the biggest events I'll ever do in my life.
yeah, well, it's for all of us.
Yeah.
You work up
Yeah, I went to but I only did the show jumping for the eventing. I was only in the eventing class.
and then I got on the same day, so I went up to the children.
Bon, eh bien, nous sommes quasiment fin prêt. Quasiment, oui, parce qu'on attend Astier Nicolas qui est donc sur tous les fronts ce week-end. Il était dans l'équipe de France, il était dans l'équipe de France et donc parmi les meilleurs. Et il est également avec ses chevaux qui vont faire du cross demain. Il est en train de dresser sur les carrières supérieures là-bas, de l'autre côté. Donc on va attendre bien qu'il déroule sa reprise de dressage. Il va vite venir nous rejoindre pour ces deux remises des prix. On va commencer dans un premier temps par la remise des prix des équipes à l'occasion de cette 5e étape de la FEI Eventing Nations Cup, la Coupe des Nations française qui a fait escale en Normandie. C'est donc la région Normandie qui va récompenser les 3 meilleures équipes, l'Allemagne et les Pays-Bas, et donc la France victorieuse une nouvelle fois cette année. Puis on passera avec les meilleurs cavaliers individuels, 3 meilleurs français, puisque ce concours ici au Pin fait partie du circuit de 6 étapes, labellisé FEI Eventing Tour, qui a pour but bien justement d'accompagner les meilleurs cavaliers français sur les plus belles échéances internationales. Il y a eu 6 étapes, il y a eu Saumur, il y a eu Jardy, il y a la Coupe des Nations ici au Haras du Pin pour la 3e étape, le championnat du monde des chevaux de 7 ans au Lion d'Angers. Il y aura le 4 étoiles de Pau et le CIC 3 étoiles du Pouget au mois de novembre. Et donc on récompensera également, donc au nom de la Fédération française d'équitation, les 3 meilleurs français, le meilleur propriétaire et le prix du meilleur cross des moins de 26 ans. Ce sera Alexis Goury. Mais pour l'heure, eh bien, nous sommes heureux d'accueillir nos officiels qui vont remettre ainsi les cadeaux et les félicitations, notamment au sein du comité régional de Normandie, représentant ainsi son président Hervé Morin, qui nous a rejoint donc pour cette remise des prix. Madame Charrière, qui a à cœur d'être parmi nous tous les ans, depuis plusieurs années ici au Haras National du Pin, et qui, comme chaque année, a un petit mot à vous dire. Madame Charrière.
Merci, mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Permettez-moi, au nom de monsieur Hervé Morin, président de région, donc, de vous dire ces quelques mots. Tout d'abord, féliciter les organisateurs et l'ensemble